Bellefontaine, and you're listening to the HomeBuyer's Hour on WCPT AM 820, where the facts matter. And today we have my favorite real estate agent in the entire world. And yes, I am grinning when I say that. Nothing against her. It's just that whichever real estate broker is near me, that's going to be my favorite. Her name is Julia Nicoll. Julia, if you don't mind, give us a short synopsis of your business, who helps you, how successful, how long. Give us a scoop and say hi to somebody special, please.
Okay, my name is Julia Nicoll, and I work with Coldwell Banker Real Estate Group out of Arlington Heights. And this January, it will be 20 years that I have been a realtor, so through all kinds of markets. I specialize in the northwest suburbs, and my family and I live in Mount Prospect. And I'll give a special shout out to my husband, my partner in crime, who helps me with lots of things, Rob Nicoll.
We always need some sort of help, don't we?
Yes.
And real quick, I know I asked you this before, but I'd like to hear it on the air. What do you think makes you unique? Why should somebody want to work with you?
I think because my career before real estate, I was a social worker for 10 years. And so I think my approach to real estate is rooted in empathy for sure, but really in the whole kind of case management of the whole process and being a whole realtor, not a marketer, not a negotiator, not the listing agent, but the complete whole realtor from beginning to end. And I think the skill set that I learned and inherently have when I was a social worker translate really well to being kind of this full realtor to sellers and buyers.
I think one of the biggest skills is always going to be listening. And Too many people try to sell and talk. They don't want to do any sort of listening. But we're going to get more onto that in a little bit. Patrick, please, give us, what to do.
All right, Charlie, I'm going to have to throw the malarkey flag.
Oh, nice.
On you calling everyone your favorite, this, that, the other thing. And that's for you. You can have that. I know you love it.
I am so flag. Much keeping this.
You have to, Julia, sorry, that's a bit of an inside joke. We'll explain it a little later. He loves to say, I'm throwing the malarkey flag on that when he really wants to say, I'm throwing the BS flag.
Yes.
But he's trying to be,
I hope I don't get flagged.
Everybody gets flagged. Nobody is immune.
You might, but we get to flag him back, so that's all right. I am Patrick Loftus. I am finally hearing the show through a pair of headphones that I can sort of hear things. You can find me on social media. On Instagram, Loftus_law, LOF like Frank. T like Tom, US like Sam _law. On Insta, on TikTok, find me at Loftus Law. If you want to email show@thehomebuyer'shour.com, please.
Outstanding. And my favorite nerd is talking from afar. Joey, if you don't mind, give us the scoop on your business, and then please give us an update on what's going on in the stocks, bonds, and the real estate market, please.
Oh, man, don't get me started on stocks. I don't know anything about them. But, yes, Joey Mathews, NMLS 1330694, the VA Loan Nerd. You can find me at thevaloannerd.com or on all the social medias as at the VA Loan Nerd. You can also call or text me at 630-235-2405. So the big data that came out today is obviously, not obviously, but core inflation. And just inflation in general, and it came in a little bit hot, very little bit hot. However, the market.
What does that mean, hot, Joey? Does it mean high or low?
Expected.
Better than
higher than expected.
Higher, okay.
Yeah, not better. It's a bad thing when it comes in high.
Gotcha.
However, the market initially reacted very negatively, but when it looks like there was some digging into the numbers, and we have seen some deflation in core goods, meaning they're getting cheaper every month over the last 3 months. So, and that accounts for 21%, approximately 21% of core inflation numbers.
That's a big chunk.
So it is. So we've actually gone pretty flat in trading, and kind of in the MBS market, we're seeing slight positive results, but it's still early, so it could change. And today it is Wednesday, as I'm talking about this, at 10:30 a.m. Central Time. So when you're hearing this on Saturday, things should have settled down by then. But as of right now, it's actually looking like we're going to see good things in the market from it. So yeah.
Let me just take a stab at what was driving the inflation being a little hot. Ooh, hot. Let me guess. Housing, rent prices, these sorts of things are not really showing any signs of abating.
Yep. So there's a drop in shelter inflation and stabilization in core services. So that's where we're seeing a lot of it. But part of the reason that we also came in a little bit hot too is it looks like, at least based on polls, that Americans have already started Christmas shopping. So we're seeing a pickup in retail.
Oh, that's
sales.
wrong.
So
That's wrong. Here comes Patrick. There's the malarkey flag. It's tossed. I went to Costco for crying out loud, and they got Christmas stuff up already, Joe.
Yeah, that's obnoxious.
Yep. Yeah, Halloween's not over yet, people. I don't know if you forgot. There's like a whole thing going on before Christmas. 2 things, at least. 3 things if you count the Marine Corps birthday.
It's an important one. And the leaves just started falling. They had Christmas up before the leaves changed color.
Listen,
It's just wrong.
why would you want to skip Halloween and Thanksgiving? Those are 2 excellent holidays. Come on.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more.
Same
All right.
page on me.
So Joey Nostradamus, what I just said that so wrong.
Joey Stradamus.
Joey Stradamus. So are mortgages going up or down? Just say they're going up so I can get busy.
Oh my God, they're going to go so high up. It's going to be
There it
ridiculous.
is.
We're gonna be
By now.
double digits by next week.
Yeah, we know that's not going to happen. Things move slowly, which is kind of nice.
Inside joke here is I'm always wrong on my predictions. So here we go.
And that's actually not such a bad thing.
It's no joke.
So part of the reason we do on this show is try to, find a unique real estate broker. There's always good, there's always bad in everything that we do. And I try to find some people that come on here and they just value that client relationship. They realize that when you get into the education business, and Julia, you were mentioning a whole bunch of stuff where it comes into being a real estate agent. I think you left off education, because that's really the bulk of what we do. It's not that people don't want to do it, they just don't know how to do it. And if we can come there and give them enough complete information, it helps them get through everything from beginning to end. And what is kind of your process? One of the questions I asked you earlier, and I kind of want to ask again, is why should somebody hire you? What makes you special? And give me those things that had teeth, all right?
Right. I think a lot of times sellers, we'll just talk about sellers,
Okay.
we as realtors think that their number one question is going to be the value of their house or what the commission's going to be. But really, those are so changeable, and they're pretty equal among realtors. So the real difference is approach. And so
Interesting.
I always want my clients to not leave a meeting with me with questions. So they should feel so informed, less overwhelmed. And I think the more informed they are about expectations, process, timing, the better equipped they are to kind of move through this transaction successfully. So I don't want them waking up at 3 a.m. thinking, oh, Julia never told us this would happen, or we didn't know. I want them to know all along the way. So I'm just a really big communicator and write down a lot of things for my clients, and hopefully that's exactly how they feel at the end. We were prepared for this. We were prepared for whatever might happen, and we ended successfully.
So what do you do to get a house ready, since we're talking about sellers?
Yeah.
What is, you get a commission, and you don't get it up front. You get it at the end. So what do you invest? I guess this is your money.
Yep.
Right? What do you invest on somebody to be their real estate broker for them selling their home?
In the beginning, a lot of it is work. It's work for the sellers, and sometimes they're not equipped to do that work. And so if they aren't,
give me an example. Do you mean like
either
cleaning?
Older, well, it could be cleaning.
Okay.
It could be a good fall or spring cleanup with the landscape. These are big things that make a difference. I very rarely am going to advise someone to refinish floors or update a bathroom. I mean, that's we don't need to do that, but we do need the product to feel really well maintained. So a good fall or spring cleanup, or a good cleaning. But the biggest obstacle really for sellers are what I call the stuff that they've accumulated through decades, and that's what weighs them down from moving. That's the stopping point for them every step of the way. What about the stuff? So I have resources for the stuff, from me emptying out houses, which I certainly have done, to connecting them to people who come and pick up everything, to estate sales, to donation places that pick up furniture. So they feel like that no longer is the obstacle because somebody else kind of has it for them.
No, I like that a lot. And then, there's a whole process that goes through all this stuff and getting the house ready. Mm-hmm. The cleanliness, the maintaining of everything else, I think that's huge, because all that does is when a company like ours comes in there, then we end up creating buyer's remorse. And all I did was pull an air filter out.
Right.
All I did was, see how dirty or rusty something that's coming in here.
Right. I have often said sometimes that I feel like my house might be more ready for friends to come over for coffee than a house is ready for an inspection. I mean, they know we're coming. So a lot of it is just prep, making sure the sellers fully understand how to best prepare for that. And as far as listing goes, the sellers can take a lot of time getting things ready, whether it's the children or the actual sellers. And they're going to need a lot of help from me, from resources all along the way. This could take a week. It could take 3 months. It depends. But the focus is being photo ready. That's just always my driving force. I've used the same photographers for 15 years. They have a beautiful list of how to be photo ready. And then it's kind of the big reveal. And so I cover photos and floor plans and all these things that make it look extra beautiful online.
I'm grinning a little bit here when you said the big reveal. I'm thinking of HGTV.
Yeah.
when I hear that song, and it's like, all right, can we just get to the reveal?
Get to it.
I really don't need all the stuff that's going wrong. So I think my next door neighbor, she doesn't really talk to too many of the other neighbors, but I think she's selling her house. And I see one of the Realtor lock boxes up there. Mm-hmm. Is that normal that they'll put a lockbox on there before the house they put a sign or put anything out front on there?
It depends on what is happening with the house. So sometimes the seller might want a lockbox there because she's hired electricians or painters and they're kind of coming in and out. And so just as a courtesy, we'll put a lockbox up just to provide a lockbox because regular people don't usually have them. So that could be. It also could be that the listing agent might know other realtors who want to show it if that's okay with the seller. And so at least the key is there for those last minute showings until they're real ready.
Now, a lot of what you do is also prepping your client for the other vendors that are involved, right?
Right.
So let's work on Patrick a little bit here. I mean, do you recommend that sellers have attorneys at all, or?
Do I, or just Patrick?
I'm going to you. Of course he does. Yeah, that's self-interest for him, but how about you?
Oh, for sure. We're so lucky in the state of Illinois that we, require attorneys because it just makes that process so much more secure. All the work that attorneys do, whether it's the buyer or the seller, for me is that mega stamp of approval where we know we're in really good ownership at the end. So I for sure think a really good real estate attorney is mandatory.
Did you hear what she said there?
Really I did. Good. Say it again. No, not really
real
good.
Estate.
Yeah.
Real estate. Yeah, they have to understand our process and how we work.
Not Uncle Joe the attorney.
It can't go understated, really, how important it is. And let's expand it. I don't necessarily need to just be speaking in terms of real estate. Anytime you're getting into a matter where you think, it might be good to have a lawyer involved, I would not just hire any lawyer. If I, God forbid, got pulled over and was issued a ticket for DUI, I would hire someone who has a track record of handling DUI cases. I'm not just gonna, pick up the phone and start calling the first person that comes up as on the Google search. In fact, that's probably the worst idea to pull up or to contact the first person that comes up on the Google search. Just because someone comes up first on a Google search, all that means is that they've got someone who's really good at SEO. So being good at the technology necessary to get yourself ranked for a particular keyword, if you're buying Google AdWords, doesn't really speak to your quality as a particular lawyer. So when your realtor, so let's bring it back to real estate, when your real estate broker recommends their lawyer, I think there's really two reactions to that. The first reaction is, thank goodness that she has someone who is ready to go, or has a list of 3. That usually there's one that a broker's trying to steer their person toward, because they know that person is quality. Let's just say it. And you want to at least make sure that they feel like they have a choice. But let's face it, number one on the list, if they pick up the phone when that call comes in, they're getting hired. So okay, fine. But the other camp is that I'm not sure I trust the person that my realtor is recommending, because I may feel that that they're kind of working for 2 different people who may have 2 different sets of motivations. And fair enough. If I am representing one of Julia's clients and a deal falls through, she may, if she feels that I'm to blame on that, then I may not be getting future referrals from her. So, what might my motivation be? Now, let me be 100% crystal clear. Doesn't matter who's referred me the business. The client is number one. That relationship with the realtor. If I've developed that relationship, it's because we have an understanding, a mutual understanding.
You build trust.
That sometimes transactions aren't meant to proceed to closing for one reason or another. And if we've built that understanding, those are relationships that I want to have. If a real estate broker feels some kind of way about any transaction that falls through, I'm really not going to make any further attempts to develop a future relationship with that broker, because my philosophy and their philosophies are not aligned. It's not going to be good for either of us.
No.
I'm going to sort of second guess myself in those transactions. They're not going to feel comfortable that I'm on the team. It's not good. They should they should be recommending a lawyer who is more aligned with that philosophy. I don't agree with that philosophy, but that philosophy definitely exists. And Julia, I see you nodding your head. It sounds like you've also seen that out there.
I think too, a really quality realtor probably, to be honest, I don't think we really think about the end in the beginning. I'm always kind of in steps, like we're just kind of courting, and then maybe after attorney review, we're engaged.
That needs to be repeated. I'm so sorry. A good real estate broker, in fact, everybody in the real estate profession, they should be focusing on the step, what's going on moment, today, right. Not getting to the table.
Right, never the
You'll
end.
You'll get there.
Right.
But the client needs to get there comfortably.
Right.
And they can't feel like they're pushed in any which way.
Yeah, and I feel like my clients, when I refer them to whomever it is, I want them to feel so supported, so communicated with, because I did the referring. I don't want to refer someone and then my client calls me and says, gosh, I haven't heard from them. And so my motivation really is to support my client. I don't want to fail in that area. So I never have the any other philosophy going into the process that way.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people do, for sure.
Very much
Counting
so.
the chickens before they're hatched.
Exactly. And, for us, we do a lot of direct-to-consumer marketing. And don't get me wrong, I want to build relationships with real estate agents. I really do. But I'm set in my ways, all right? I believe in what we do, and I'm going to do things our way. And it sounds stubborn. I get it. but we really focus on exceeding those clients' expectations, and we're closing in on 2,000 five-star reviews. To me, that's a big deal, is getting it. So whenever, because obviously before a client reaches out to us, they already have, and they are working with the real estate broker already, unless it's a for sale by owner. And then the real estate broker is going to recommend a home inspector as well as an attorney and mortgage person. And if you don't trust that referral, why are you even working with that real estate agent? Is kind of like one of my biggest questions.
Right.
And then on the same note, if you have a vendor, let's say it's an attorney that is just known for being gruff and hard and stubborn and say, we're going to fight this issue, we're going to fight every single issue, and they don't explain to the client, listen, you could fight it, but you're going to be going through this process 15 times until finally you're not going to fight it anymore. So let's just talk it out, and this is what the market's like and so forth. Patrick, your eyes lit up. Why?
Oh, I don't know.
You got the flag. Well, you can throw it right back at me.
No, I just have a couple things in mind. Number one is, you say you're stubborn, and, really what I hear when you say that, because I know you, Charlie, and you're stubborn in the sense that you believe in your process.
I do.
But I also know that you're continually evaluating your process.
I am.
Trying to improve it. So, that's so much better. Thank you, Devin. That sounds so weird. Never mind. Can we edit that out?
No, but you're right. I have a good product. I have a good service. I've tuned it over and over again. I do A/B testing all the time. We want to make sure that, when somebody writes a review on us, that they're going, yeah, they did it. Not just they showed up on time and they did a nice job and I really liked them. I don't care about that. I care about the stuff where, I couldn't believe they documented so many things. I couldn't believe that they explained it to everything else. Yeah, there were a lot of minor stuff, but they found a lot of serious stuff. And then I had the follow-up conversation with Charlie, and, he broke it down. He got me referrals. He got me prices. He did all these other things. Everything so they can make a good decision. That's why the three of us are here, and that's why we bring on people like you. Okay, and I'm pointing to Julia.
Yeah, and you're trying to build a team. The thing about this process is that there's a team of people who are going to be working together. The real estate broker, the real estate lawyer, the mortgage broker, and I'm talking on the buyer side. On the seller side, you won't have a mortgage broker, and you won't really have any influence over who's on the other team. And it's not a team. It's not a game where you're trying to win or lose. It's just a team of people trying to achieve a certain objective, whether that's
like-minded individuals that want to help another human.
So, in terms of building that team, what I hear Julia say is that the level of service that she provides a client, she wants that then to be extended through
100%.
The lawyer, the mortgage broker, whomever, the photographer, the home stager. Any one of those people who becomes a weak link, it's going to drag the whole team down. And so you have to really trust. I mean, those are some of the most precious referrals that you could give or receive because of the stakes involved for the person, for the client.
Yeah, the realtor is kind of the epicenter, and so if something goes awry, those eyes are straight to me, which has happened. If something at an inspection, I think I had a buyer one time ask the inspector something at the end, an inspector I referred, and he said, "Oh, I don't know. I didn't look at that." Now,
that would drive me nuts.
My clients looked right at me. They're not looking at him. They're looking at me. I made that referral. I feel the responsibility.
They put their trust in you.
Right. And so I feel a responsibility to make it all right. So, right, that team is only as strong as that realtor's connections and referrals to everybody. And so, and the communication is the key, right? So that we're all in communication.
It's funny you say that. A friend of mine bought a house down in Florida, and I'm not licensed in Florida, but she wanted me to go down there. So we flew down there, and I wanted to go to Florida for a weekend. What can I say?
Yeah.
So she flew me down there, and we had to hire a Florida licensed home inspector down there. and he's doing his thing. He didn't check pools, so I brought my pool equipment out there. You know, I'm flying my stuff to Florida where they have the pools and we don't, you know, just so I could go ahead and do that on there. And then he doesn't open up the electrical panel. You know, we get to the end and he's giving us the synopsis of everything else. And I said, well, how's the furnace? He goes, I don't even know if we have a furnace. And I'm like, well, can we find out?
Lordy.
You know, I just want to make sure that it works, how old it is. You know, it ended up being electric furnace. So electric furnaces, they could last forever. But, and if something goes bad with it, it's easy to fix. But that's not the biggest end in there. But it's like, you know, what are people thinking? You know, why would you hire somebody like this when they don't even do half of these things?
Right.
And why would you refer somebody? You know, to me, the most valuable thing in the world is my reputation.
Florida is just a different world, man. I mean, you know,
my friend John calls it Florida, but I don't want to get all critical on different states. He lives there, so he could say that. I can't.
Well, my sister and her family live down there, and I know when they bought their house, there were a couple head scratcher moments when they were explaining the process to me, and you know, not that I'm going to stick my nose in it, because if they want to buy a house, I mean, I know my brother-in-law, if he really wanted my advice, he'd reach out, but you know, he's a capable dude. He's a CPA, so you know, he also fancies himself a very capable dude, and he's like me. Asking for help is like, you know, how am I going to do that? Which
That's
you know
too.
is something I need to get better at. I'll talk to my therapist about that, but it's a different world down there, man.
We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna extrapolate any further.
Patrick, if people have questions about real estate law, how do they get hold of you to ask those questions?
If you have a question about real estate law, www.google.com. Go ahead and just type it right in.
Where's my flag? I'm throwing it at you full speed. There it is.
No, find me on socials, Loftus_law, and Loftus is spelled LOF like Frank, T like Tom, US like Sam _law on Insta. On TikTok, it's at Loftus Law. And I spell it out because you wouldn't believe how many ways people can mess up the spelling of my 6-letter last name.
I can. I can. With
Try a
Nicoll.
13-letter last name.
Yeah, that second L probably really
It's the second L and then the no H. And yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah, I spelled your name wrong in my notebook.
Yeah, most people do. I think my mom still does.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
I
think
love
so.
it. And Joey, if they have questions about mortgages and so forth, and more specifically, I know you do everything else. I'm not trying to pigeonhole you. There it is.
I love
but
VA.
The
Don't
VA
worry
is
about it.
amazing. Yeah. I just had a VA client asking me about that. I even threw in the NPM 833 form. Normally we charge extra for that, but I think I'm just going back to giving it away, and that
It's
just
just so
because of your passion towards the veterans.
I appreciate that for everybody that is doing VA loans and working with you for the inspections. I mean, always do those things at the same time. Otherwise, it's 2 visits. It's just annoying, right?
Yeah.
But
And knowing the
you-
MPRs is a big deal too.
Oh, absolutely.
Hey, hold up.
I did it. I was waiting to be called that. Oh, another one.
I'm throwing the malarkey flag on you.
Holy cow! This is the caution flag.
Yeah, you're gonna use an acronym
I
and
did.
not even back
did.
up and pay it off. That is
I was just seeing if you guys were ignoring me.
that
or not.
is malarkey
It was
flag
NPR?
material. Absolutely.
MPR, minimum property requirements.
Yeah, you see,
You know.
you see. Here, you can throw the malarkey flag.
There
if you
it
want.
is.
Outrageous behavior.
Sorry to interrupt you, Joey. I apologize. If they have
No, I love
questions,
it.
how do they get hold of you for that?
Well, you could call or text me at 630-235-2405. Feel free to find me at thevalonenerd.com or across all social media as at the VA Loan Nerd.
Sounds good. And again, my name is Charlie Bellefontaine. I own Chicagoland Home Inspectors. Our website is The Home Inspectors. That's plural, ORS, and it's a .com. And then anybody who's interested in joining the home inspection profession, we also own Home Inspection University of Illinois, and that's HIUIL.com as well. All right. I want to get one more time information from Julia over here. Julia, can you give us your contact information?
Yes, so Julia Nicoll, and you can find me on Instagram, which is Julia Nicoll Real Estate. And again, Nicoll is Nicoll. Or on Facebook, Julia Nicoll, Coldwell Banker Real Estate Group. And my email is jnicoll@coldwellhomes.com.
And I'm going to ask for some negatives now from you.
Okay.
All right? Like, give me some negatives from mortgage brokers. All right? I'd like to get you and Joey involved in on a little of this. Has somebody done something? Like, one of my biggest pet peeves when I hear about it is this, and I keep forgetting if it's pre-approval or pre-qualified or which one is what. Pre-approval is good, pre-qualified is bad, right?
Correct.
All right. What is your take on this and somebody just getting a letter and speak to it from either a seller's side or a buyer's side?
Well, I typically want my buyers to use either a loan officer that I recommend so that I fully trust that they have been vetted, more than a phone call. And if they're not, it's okay. Obviously, no one has to. I hope they are referred to them from somewhere or work for a company that we all know. Because, for one, to have a local loan officer is key because we definitely close and work in a different way than any other state. So if people want to use, let's say Quicken Loans, which I think they're out of maybe Texas, they don't really understand how we operate. So if I have the seller's point of view on that, I vet all those pre-qualifications and pre-approvals when I get offers. I talk to the loan officer and ask, how far down the line are you? Do you anticipate any problems? And I can get a pretty good sense of how confident that loan officer is with those buyers.
And Joey, pipe in on this. What's your biggest thing? And I already know the answer, but what's your beef?
My beef is there's just a scourge of lazy people that are quickly exiting my industry, which I love.
And this is usually what happens, right? The market slows down a little bit, and then those that are using it for the get-rich-quick stuff, they're gone.
Yeah, and I love it, and it can't happen fast enough. And there's, on social media, you're in these groups, and people are complaining about statistics, and the entire time they don't realize that they're about to become one, right? There's always going to be people buying houses. The thing is, and I actually have a story literally from yesterday that I'm going to be posting today. When I pre-approve someone, they're going to close, period. Just that's a fact. Unless, the house is a big old turd and can't be closed on. The buyer will be able to close. So I told a couple that I could not pre-approve them. It was a VA loan based on some income that they were trying to use that did not qualify as income. It was not going to qualify. So they went to a huge lender that rhymes with Veterans United, and they got pre-approved. Yeah, they got pre-approved by them. They went under contract. They sold their house on Friday last week. And then on Monday, so this is 2 days ago, I'm sorry. On Monday, they got denied the loan for the house they were trying to buy because the income they were trying to use did not qualify. So the exact reason I told them they couldn't buy just yet is the reason that they're homeless today. It drives me insane. That's the scourge of my industry, is that company.
Yeah, and let me just jump in there as well. This is a perfect example of a company that is really good at SEO, and that's about it. So what I was describing earlier, where you're going to probably be disappointed when you Google, whatever it is you're looking for. When I have Googled, which Google is getting so bad, that search engine is just going
maybe Yahoo will come back,
going down the tubes. Yeah, maybe. I think we may be seeing the rise of Bing. Probably not.
DuckDuckGo.
Oh my goodness. Yes, that's out there.
I think so.
It's out there.
But that goes back to trust and verify.
But no. So when you Google VA loan stuff, Veterans United is all over. And it gives it a little bit of legitimacy when you see it's like, wow, these are the first 10, 8 out of the top 10 results when you Google VA stuff is Veterans United. But even when you go to a credit union that you would think would be all over it, like a credit union that rhymes with Gravy Federal Credit Union. Really, they need to be going to the VA Loan Nerd, because those folks, as much as you would assume that they're on top of VA, I mean, they just, I don't know, they're not.
Joey, I have a question.
Yeah.
So with a VA loan, I've had different experiences, and it's always hard to communicate to a seller what the experience is going to be like, to prepare them, because it's obviously a different process. Because I've had such different experiences where the appraiser finds no problems. Or I'm
We're
sorry.
We're going to be best friends. I'm going to give you you have my cell phone number. You're on the show.
I do. So what do you say, or what would you say to a seller to communicate how or why this is going to work out?
For sure. So right off the bat, if I'm the selling agent and I see a VA offer, the first thing I do when I call the lender, if they don't call me first, because I always try to call the agent before I get the phone call personally. Have you pulled the certificate of eligibility? If the answer is yes, you are dealing with a lender that knows something about VA. At the very least, they know something, right? That is literally, it's so easy to pull. It's a social, a birth year, and you can pull it directly from the loan guarantee website, the VA's loan guarantee website as a lender. If they're pre-approving without that throw it in with the rest of the toilet paper.
Now, what about the house part? The
house part,
the checklist, yeah.
So what I
Minimum
love
property
is
requirements. I think the MPRs, as our friend Charlie talks about.
Yes, the MPR.
Yeah, the values. Well, so MPRs and values. So one, I'm going to say 92% of the time, based on Ellie Mae statistics, and that comes from Encompass, our loan origination software. 92% of VA loans appraise at value. So I'm going to jump right to MPRs now.
Okay.
Minimum property requirements. Okay, so most of them can get waived. It's just a matter of if the lender realizes it or not. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So the only real things that we run into is for chipped paint.
Yep.
On the exterior of the home, that will have to be repaired before closing, and the appraiser will have to go back out. On the inside of the home, if the home was built prior to 1978, it has to be repaired prior to closing, and the appraiser has to go back to the home. For anything else, if it's chipped paint inside the home after 78, built after 78, MPR waiver. That is a cosmetic issue, right?
And that's another cost, though, sending the appraiser back out there.
Absolutely, and that's why it's so big so the only time the appraiser actually has to go back to the property is for chip paint issues, period. You can self-certify a roof. A roof being replaced, it can be self-certified with a picture sent to the lender and an invoice from the roofing company. Done, right? Oh my gosh.
Which is why, as a lawyer, when I see stuff like that I know is going to get picked out by the VA appraiser, I go, look, in my letter, I said, look, understanding that it's a cosmetic issue and it's not really properly a paragraph 12 request, we know this is going to be a minimum property requirements issue. Please scrape and paint. So that we don't run into that issue with
Before
the VA appraiser
gets there.
That's something I can add value-wise. And Joey, tell me, I've heard of this thing called Tidewater. What's that?
Yeah, no, so value. So 92% of the time, you're not worried about appraisal because it's going to come back at value. So
you're going to love this. This is really cool.
Ready.
Tidewater gets initiated by the appraiser when they are having trouble reconciling the sales price or the contract price. So they will give 48 hours to the agents to send back comps that support the value. If the appraiser still comes back in low, we get the appraisal. We see it's low. We go straight to what's called the reconsideration of value process, and this is where it's an appeal process, but it goes straight to the VA rather than the appraiser. Why is that important? The appraiser, and this happens on FHA and conventional where it goes back to the appraisal and appeal, the appraiser is usually going to be married to their appraisal, to their work. They have an emotional attachment to it, right?
Right.
The VA only cares about numbers and helping veterans close. The VA reconsideration of value process has a 71% success rate.
That's pretty high.
The appeal process through conventional or FHA is hovering at 10%.
Wow.
I
And
would.
it's only if they miss something big.
Right.
Yeah, I would say 10% seems high, but
Yeah.
do you know how when you get a low appraisal and you look at it and you're just like, he got it wrong, or they got it wrong. It doesn't have
But
to be
this
a he.
is where knowledge is power. You
But
know?
this is so different in the context of VA in a good way, in a very good way, because when you get that low appraisal with any other loan product, you're pretty much stuck with it, and especially with VA, that stays with the property. Joey, what is it? 3-4 months? 6 months?
So it stays with the property. No, it does not. No,
the
appraisal
FHA
does not stay with the property. Yeah, exactly. FHA sticks with the property. On VA, it sticks with the buyer for that property.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But so with FHA is like the worst case scenario for a seller, comes in low on an FHA, everybody's stuck
You
with
can't
that
take
price.
any more FHA forever. Yeah.
So
Well,
then
for months.
Yeah. So
Right.
so now you're put in a very difficult spot. With VA, it's like you've got so many cracks at getting that value adjusted, and so if it's 92% just right off the bat, and then another 71% of that 8%. I mean, I love those numbers, to be honest.
Yeah, man,
Yeah.
if more people knew more about VA loans, and that's like my goal in life, is educate brokerages, like literally nationwide. I go on my stupid roadshow and just educate on VA, because it gets, I don't want to say discriminated against, but it doesn't get the credence it needs in this market.
No, and
Yeah.
Joey, I have another question for you. What's the least denied loan product on the market out there?
The VA loan.
Yeah.
I
It's
love it.
nice when you ask a question. No attorney ever asks a question that they don't already know the answer to.
No, I mean
to follow it up.
that was the biggest softball ever that I could chuck his way. Like the opposite of the malarkey flag. But and Joey, something you've talked about a number of times, and I've seen you on TikTok talking about this, is that you've got this idea, I think, that if someone comes in with a VA offer and it's 0% down, that's a knock against them. Which, if you were talking FHA, you couldn't do that. But if you were talking about a conventional with 100% financing, yeah, I'd feel some kind of way about it. But with VA, it's totally different. Set of rules, different ballgame entirely. Joey, what do I mean by that?
Well, the big thing here for me, like personally, just because I always use the VA loan, I always go 100% financing. I also, oh man, I don't want to sound like a douche. I have money in the bank. Okay.
Joey's got that paper.
All right, we got a thumbs up from Devin on that. We don't have to.
All right.
We don't have to blast that out there.
Joey is, he's got gold-plated rims on his, Chevy Cavalier.
Well, I do have an online testimonial, Joey. I think this is from yours and mine. Favorite Memphis firefighter. He did come. Yeah, no lie. Me too. I have to, though. He's my kid, and he's coming to town. Well, have you met Joey W. Mathews? He's pretty much the best in the business. So Christopher gave you a little nice attaboy on that one there. But it goes back to, knowledge. I mean, there's so many people that, take one of these 10, 15, 50, 60-hour classes, and they all of a sudden they're a mortgage broker, or they're a home inspector, or they're a real estate broker. And quite frankly, that's not enough to learn about our business. There's so much more. And this is where coaching and mentoring and everything else comes in here. But that's kind of a hard sell, isn't it? And I'm asking you, Julia.
Yeah, you mean the hard sell being
For somebody new in the business, seeing the value of trying to learn from somebody who's been successful in this business.
Oh, yeah. No, that, I think I was determined when I first started in real estate to kind of turn that around a little bit, because when I first started, it was, Cadillac driving, dressed to the nines, don't look at my papers, don't listen to my phone call, in my own office. And so
you're triggering me. This is you're describing my childhood as the child of a real estate broker, and she's probably going to watch this and she's going to be like, and so I just got myself in trouble at some point in the future. But
for sure, but and me
I
too.
totally know exactly
still have
the vibe, because everyone viewed everyone else as a mortal enemy, and it was this person is there were no allies really. You didn't see teams, anything like that. So
and we didn't even, and you don't even, I feel like I battled that for a tiny bit. Like to be successful, I'm going to have to become like that. And then I
It's
thought,
so not true, though.
right. Then I thought, nope, I'm going to stay the way I am and collaborate with the people I work with, because we all have different strengths and we all know different things. And
We
whether
can all learn from each other.
right, whether you're an experienced realtor or you're a brand new realtor, the brand new realtors in my office teach me things all the time because they just, took their class and their
Things
things
change.
Yep, or I forgot, So
They're young people and they understand
Yeah.
how social media works,
Yes.
or whatever. They've come up with certain skills that
Their generation.
we wouldn't have had. And
Right.
as a veteran, let's say, in the business, there's always something you can learn from a younger person. And I've similarly, although the experience definitely. There's no replacement for that, but to add in the lifetime learning, if you will, I think that is really, really important, and that's a really strong indication of your character as a real estate broker. It represents, I think, the newer generation of real estate brokers who don't look at it as it's not the Hunger Games out there.
Right.
We done.
Right.
I like that.
There's not just
Right.
going to be one winner at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think if you have, especially because you have to think about who do you want to surround you and how do you want that office to feel when you walk through the door. And it's up to all of us to create that dynamic. I want to be surrounded by really rock solid realtors. I'm going to help them anytime I can. I get more joy out of helping a colleague that is new to real estate than almost anything else I do. I will drop everything if I see a phone call from someone who needs me, and the joy I get from helping them, I can't express. And it could just come out of the fact that the beginning of real estate for me was such a different experience, and I just want to change that. But
I feel that.
Yeah.
I feel that so much because I have this similar experience in law. Although the younger generation of lawyers, I don't think we're quite doing the kumbaya like you're describing. But honestly, part of what is the give back there is you're gonna have someone you helped is gonna have a house they're about to put on the market, and they're gonna mention it to you, and you're gonna go, I got the perfect buyer for you, or vice versa.
yeah,
And so that collaboration, it pays off in the end. The more people who are like, this is one of the good ones, and they want to work with people who are going to be collaborative, to the extent that you can be. I mean, we all understand.
right.
We all understand that you're representing people, and they're the priority. But also, we're all in this business together to a certain extent, and if there's a great fit, this buyer, this seller, and you're able to put that together because you have this collaborative atmosphere with the other agents you work with. I mean, that is much better than this battle for whatever's out there, to me.
I think it goes back to karma is the bottom line, and the more you give, things just come back. As long as you don't look for anything in return, things always come back and they help. When I was much younger, and I've been doing this for 30 years, and this was back around 2002, I got involved with our associations for home inspectors. And I just started, back then people didn't have websites. So I built a website for our association. And I just started putting a bunch of information up there. Next thing I know is I get some community colleges that are looking to put home inspection training program in their thing. And who do they call? They call me, because my name is up there doing all these stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I think that's something I'd be interested in doing. So then next thing we know, 20 years later plus, we have a home inspection school,
Right.
and we work with a bunch of community colleges across the state where it comes with it. So it's always karma that comes out of this stuff. Let's go around the horn, and I want to end up giving a few words of wisdom. But before we do that, I would like to say thank you to Devin Tingle. He's a producer of our show. He's a rock star. Even when things go wrong here, he still manages to get everything fixed and up and running perfectly. So for that, I'm extremely thankful. Julia, please give us your contact information again.
Julia Nicoll, and on Instagram it's Julia Nicoll Real Estate. On Facebook it's Julia Nicoll Coldwell Banker Real Estate Group.
Do you post a lot on Instagram?
I'm a big Instagrammer.
Okay, why? Tell me why that particular one.
I think it's probably because it's, they have stories and reels and posts, and, it's probably just easier to access.
Do you put personal stuff up
I do.
there?
It's a nice mix of personal and professional, and I think it's definitely somebody could go to my Instagram page and feel like they know me. I'm pretty transparent. I like to do a few videos telling stories or communicating about real estate, post about my life and my family and life in Chicago. So I really love doing social media, and I think it's great for somebody who, I'm not as young anymore, so I'm not out and about as much anymore. So it's nice that I can kind of connect with people through that route. So
there's always one or two clients, something that was unique that happened in here, and I'm going to do a little blobbity blah so I can give you time to think about this. But try and come back and pull somebody out there that really meant a lot, and give us a little routine of what happened, not necessarily who they are, but what went on and why that particular transaction was so special.
I just had one where the sellers were very sentimental about their house, and their parents, who they absolutely adored, had both passed away, and this house was very important to them. And so it was just a really special but difficult transaction. Real estate's not always a big celebration, so you have to kind of meet them where they're at and protect them and support them along the way.
Nice, I like that. And Junior Patrick was speaking up about you too. He said that he watched the entire series of Suits on USA, and he knows how to spot a good lawyer a mile away. But I think you're a good lawyer, and don't throw the malarkey flag at me. But give us the contact. How do people get hold of you, Patrick?
This profession has ruined lawyer shows for me forever. Other than Better Call Saul. Better Call Saul is really the only one that's somewhat realistic, which is grim, to be honest. You know what? Email show@thehomebuyer'shour.com and follow my cat, naya.t.cat, on Instagram.
I love it. And Joey, can you give us your contact info, please?
Well, yes, sir. You could call or text me anytime at 630-235-2405. You can find me at thevaloannerd.com or across all the social media as at the VA Loan Nerd.
That I love so much. And what's the name of the mortgage company that you're working with right now?
I have just made the move to a new neighborhood Loans.
Nice. Congratulations. They're very lucky to get you. And did you bring your whole team across?
I have, yes, I have.
That's a big jump, because I know you got quite a few people there that work under your name, and that's impressive. And I'm glad. I know good things are going to be there for you.
It's a beautiful day.
It is. I know. Kumbaya. Let's go ahead. I'll throw the malarkey flag right at myself there. Well, my name is Charlie Bellefontaine. I own Chicagoland Home Inspectors. Our website is www.thehomeinspectors.com. My phone number, or our phone number, is 312-544-9180. If you need to speak to me directly, just press option 3 and that'll come right to my cell phone. Of course, when we're recording the show, I don't answer the phone, but I will return that call as soon as I can. And then without further ado, I think I already said thank you to Devin. Thank you to everybody else. Julia, it was great to have you on the show. I really hope you enjoyed yourself here.
Thanks so much. It's great.
Not a problem at all. And then I got about another 20 seconds I got to kill right here. So we'll throw a plug for Home Inspection University, first base. I caught the malarkey flag.
We're doing good with that malarkey
I know.
flag.
I should end up playing dodgeball. I've seen some real tricky moves in there. But again, my name is Charlie, and I'm out, and thank you for listening.